Okay, this is my video on 10 reasons leopard geckos make great pets. It's for people who are thinking about getting geckos. It's about parents who are wondering if it's a good idea to let their kid have a gecko. And just to give you a bit of an insight, if you do decide to get a leopard gecko, it's a good idea to subscribe to my channel because I pretty much go in depth about everything about leopard geckos, so I'm always here if you have a question or anything and I can try to answer you. So yeah, here is the 10 reasons leopard geckos make great pets. This is probably the largest you'd get for a single leopard gecko, and it's 23 inches by 15 inches by 16.5 inches. You can of course get plastic tanks which are about 18 inches and they're much smaller and not as deep, and they're only normally about £13–14. It depends how long you go. Like, I can leave them for a weekend, that's fine. I'm not sure about a week, I would have to kind of get someone to check on them, but if you're going away for a weekend then no problem really. Most of the time the geckos, like my ones, get fed every 2 or every 3 days, and they can go not feeding every like 4 days or so, so it's not going to make a giant difference, but make sure you feed them a lot before you go. So yeah, they're not like a dog, you have to come in, feed them, take them for a walk, you need to get someone to do that. No, they can stay in the tank. If you've got the heat in on a timer or something, that's fine. If you fed them enough, that's fine. If they've got water, that's okay. Just make sure you change it when you get back. Their heating requirements are not particularly difficult to meet. A lot of reptiles, they need specific lighting in the day, specific lighting at night, humidifiers, I think they're called, for humidity, and heat mats and wall mats and everything. All leopard geckos really need is a heat mat. Some people do choose to put lights in a tank, and I know I have a lot of comments about bulbs and everything. But that's obviously up to you. I never use them, and obviously I've had my geckos for like 7 years now and they've done fine. But they do have a lot of access to light. I get a lot of natural light shine right through my room, so they get a lot of that anyway. But never directly in the tank, that's also important. Anyway, what I use is I plug the heat mats into timers and they come on very early in the morning and go off about 8–9 o'clock at night, and honestly that's just seems to be perfect for the last few years, so no problems there. I did recently buy this though, a thermostat. I haven't used it yet, but what you do here is I think this usually goes into the tank and reads the temperature, and you can set the temperature on here what you want it to be, and you plug the heat mat in and plug that in, and it sort of sorts it out. Only problem with this is I think you'd have to turn it off every night, because obviously the heat mat isn't required all night. Leopard geckos live in deserts in the wild, so it would obviously be hot at night, hot in the day, cold at night. So I am debating whether to just sell this on or actually use it, because right now the timers are doing it perfectly. Okay, the monthly cost isn't actually that bad. This is excluding like electricity and everything, because obviously that really depends on your situation. But food wise, for me, I have 4 geckos and I spend about £7 a month, and that's for 4. So really, if you've got one, it will only cost about maybe £1 to £2. This depends on what you're feeding your geckos, how often, how much you get in the pack or whatever. So you don't get that thing where you get a hamster, you get really like attached to it, and then the following year it dies. These guys live for 20 years or more. They're great little things. I've got one that's 7, one that's 6, one that's coming up for a year, and one that's coming up for 2 years, I think. Now I actually left this in here, lovely, to show you. Geckos that tend to pee and poo in the same place, they only do it once a day, and the white bit that you can just see there, that is actually the pee. It comes out as a solid. Sometimes when they do go to the loo, there's like a bit of liquid, but that's actually the pee. And there's a brown bit attached to it, which is the poo. And yeah, they do it in the same place, more or less. Ziggy here has chosen to do it on his hide. Beautiful. And my other geckos, they all do it in just a corner of their tank. So there's no scooping around trying to find it all. Not like rodents that constantly go to the loo, because I have chinchillas and they constantly go to the loo. I'll show you some pictures of them in a minute. This is Minnie, and she is a Jungle X crossed with a high yellow. And I actually have her sister, and they're a year's apart in age. And even though they've got the same colouring, they do actually have different patterns. One thing that worries people before they're getting like reptiles and that is their food. I think, you know, some people have a problem with having insects in the house, which is fair enough, to be honest. They don't actually require too much attention. I know you have to keep them in like a little tub, but this is a small tank, and all I do is I keep food in their tank all the time. Basically, like the other day, I just put in 2 or 3 grapes and they have been eaten, so that's all I do. I have another 2 or 3 grapes. I think it's important to feed them fruit because it's natural, it makes them chunky and fat, which is really great for your geckos. Also, if they're eating all these vitamins and everything, they're much more healthier for your geckos. I know that you can also buy bug grub and bug gel. When I first got my gecko, I was trying out these things, but then you always have to put little bits of water in there, and I kept finding loads of crickets drowned, even in a little milk lid of water. It was so bad, and it stunk. So the best thing to do, in my opinion, is, you know, put a slice of apple, a bit of orange, grapes, because they'll completely eat them, clear them out for you, and they get chunky. Okay, depending on the substrate you use, leopard geckos don't really need to be cleaned out very often. Obviously, when they go to the loo, you have to clean that out, but here's Ziggy. I use Eco-Earth, and I always go on about it in all my videos. It's like the best thing to use. They can eat it, it won't harm them, they love to dig in it. And you only have to clean it out every 6 months. Obviously, if it is starting to smell, I'd clean it a bit more often. But so far, it's every 6 months. Obviously, as I said, if they pee or poo, clean that out like every day or every 2 days. Leopard geckos are really friendly animals and really affectionate, especially if you're warm and they're cold. As you can see, this is Minnie, and she's pretty much holding on. Sometimes what they do is if you have them on your lap and you curve your hand, they'll actually scoop up by your hand and just curl up and go to sleep, and it's so cute. Obviously not everyone thinks reptiles are particularly cute, but I do. Obviously it depends on if they've been handled a lot since they've been young, if they've been mistreated in the past. That can all depend on how friendly they are. It's probably quite dark, but I'm trying to move her off so I can move my camera and everything. And she won't come off my legs. I can hold her hands, she gives me her hands, and she won't come off my legs. I can even like stroke her hands. stroke under her chin, stroke like that. She's not going to move. I said about 6 or 7 o'clock the leopard geckos start to like come out and they want to come out of their tanks. Well, it's 7:20 at night. Oh. And Mr. Ziggy wants to come out. Oh! Zig! Yay! See, they're awesome little pets. And obviously, you know, subscribe, comment, just watch it, enjoy it. And, you know, I always aim to help people out and educate them as much as I can. And show how awesome these little guys can be.